Where did your trust issues come from? My husband threw his niece's birthday party and invited everyone we knew. Nora turned 4 and my husband James was more excited than I'd ever seen him. He spent weeks planning this party. He rented a bounce house and hired a princess to come do face painting and ordered a 3-star cake shaped like a castle. I thought it was a little excessive for a niece that James. I had always been close with his sister Vanessa, so I didn't question it. The party was packed with people from our lives. His family, my family, our entire friend, grew coworkers, neighbors, everyone. I was in the kitchen getting more juice boxes when I heard Nora screaming in the backyard. I rushed to the window and saw James walking through the gate. Nora sprinted across the yard. I jumped into his arms yelling, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." I laughed because kids say silly things. Then I noticed no one else was laughing. I looked around the yard and every single adult had frozen in place. James's mother had her hand over her mouth. My best friend Courtney was staring at the ground. James's cause worker Mike was backing away like he wanted to disappear. James looked at me through the window and I watched the color drain from his face completely. Nora was still clinging to his neck saying, "Daddy, I missed you so much. Mommy said you were coming and I waited all day." I walked outside slowly. The yard was dead silent except for the bounce house motor humming. I said, "James, why is she calling you daddy?" He put Nora down gently and said kids get confused. She probably heard another kid say it. Nora tugged on his pants and said, "Daddy, can we do cake now? We could do cake when you got here." I looked at Vanessa. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I said, "Vanessa, why is your daughter calling my husband daddy?" Vanessa started crying immediately. She said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We never meant for it to happen." My brain couldn't process what she was saying. I said, "Never meant for what to happen." James stepped toward me with his hands up and said, "Let's go inside and talk about this privately." I stepped back and said, "Tell me right now in front of everyone, why is that little girl calling you daddy?" James was sweating. He said, "Because I am. Nora is my daughter." The words hit me like a truck. I said, "Your daughter with your sister." He said, "Vanessa isn't my sister. She never was. I told you that when we first started dating because I was already involved with her and I didn't know how to end it." I grabbed the patio table to keep from falling over. I said, "You've been lying to me for 6 years." He said, "I was going to tell you. I just never found the right time." I looked around the yard at all the faces I thought I knew. I said, "Who else knew about this?" Nobody answered. I screamed it. Who else knew? My best friend Courtney raised her hand, then Mike, then James's mother, then my own sister. Then one by one, almost every single person in that yard raised their hand. My own mother couldn't look at me. I said, "Mom, you knew?" She said, "I thought you knew too. I thought it was some arrangement." When I realized you didn't know, I didn't want to be the one to destroy your marriage. I started laughing. I couldn't stop everyone I trusted. I had watched me play the fool for 6 years. I said the business trips you were with her. James nodded. I the late nights at the office. He nodded again. I said our anniversary 2 years ago, when you said you had food poisoning and couldn't make dinner. He closed his eyes and said Nora was in the hospital with pneumonia. I had to be there. I said, "You missed our anniversary to be with your other family and I spent the night alone thinking you were sick." He said, "I'm sorry. I know that sounds meaningless right now, but I am sorry." I looked at Nora. She was hiding behind Vanessa's legs, looking scared, this innocent little girl who had no idea she was the center of a lie that had destroyed my entire life. I looked at Vanessa and said, "How could you do this? I bought you baby shower gifts. I babysat her. I helped you pick out preschools." Vanessa said, "I know I wanted to tell you so many times, but James said it would hurt you too much." I said. James said. I turned to him. "You convinced everyone I knew to lie to me for 6 years to protect my feelings." He said I was trying to keep everyone happy. I said everyone except me. I was the only one not in on the joke. I walked over to the cake. 3 tiers castle shape probably cost $300. I picked it up and threw it directly at James. It hit him in the chest and exploded everywhere. Pink crossing in his hair, cake chunks on his shoes. He just stood there. "Doctor, I said I want a divorce and I want everyone here to know that you can all go to hell." I walked out through the side gate and never looked back. The divorce was finalized 3 months later and I haven't spoken to a single person who was at that party since.